Today we're going to be talking about the brain peptides, which are another category of brain neurochemicals, and they are putative neurotransmitters. If you remember, we talked about putative neurotransmitters. These are neurotransmitters which are candidates for a neurotransmission and have yet to satisfy some of the conditions before they can be classified as a full-fledged neurotransmitter. However, they have major characteristics which may qualify them for neurotransmission status. And we have talked about the amino acids, which were GABA, glycine, glutamate, and of course they have been classified after much research into these categories. Now come the brain peptides. The peptides are a different class altogether. Peptides means peptide of a 5 chain. So there are molecules linked together, 5 molecules linked together in a chain, and which is why they're called the peptides. There are many peptides and they work from different locations and are found in different places, but most of them, like the luteinizing hormone releasing hormone, is found in the lateral hypothalamus, and it releases the factors within the pituitary or releasing hormones for the pituitary. Substance P is another important peptide. Similarly, there are peptides such as ACTH, which is adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is released during stress. Now, every time you go through the stress periods such as examinations, assignments, stress of whatever, relationships, you must understand that this is the hormone which is secreted in great amounts, and this hormone is a peptide. Again, the classification is peptide. Now, the most interesting, of course, there is about 200 candidates of peptides. We are not going to go into the details of it, but remember that they do modulate behavior. The most important one that I am interested in and I would like to talk about, and I have hinted about them in the last lecture, that are the brain opioids. And we talked about why the brain manufactures its own opioids. And the first research that came about, the Hughes and Kosterlitz study in 1975 from the University of Aberdeen, they found and they located this molecule which resembles the opiate molecule. And of course, as I told you earlier, a lot of research then began to understand why the brain would manufacture its own opioids, which then become the putative neurotransmitter. Within the opioid category, there are 2 major groups. Now, the 2 major groups that we have in the opioid category are the endorphins and the enkephalins. Of course, within the endorphin, there is again subclassifications, and within the enkephalins also there are subclassifications depending on their location, the size of the molecule, etc., etc. The endorphins are the larger molecules, and there are alpha endorphins, beta endorphins, gamma endorphins, those classifications of endorphins go on. In similar manner, enkephalins also have classification, but these are smaller molecules, comparatively smaller molecules. The interesting thing is, and this you must remember, if you go back on at the end of the last lecture I talked about, is that these endorphins and enkephalins, they are found every day. New research is being found that they're extremely important. What do you think they could be important in? Of course, addiction. Yeah, you're right. And what else? They're also important, as you might have guessed, if you don't know, the best painkiller in the world is morphine. How do I know? Because if you look at literature, that patients of cancer who do not respond to any other painkiller respond to morphine, and morphine is prescribed for intense pain in these patients. In the Second World War, the First World War, this was the drug of choice for reducing the pain in war wounds and so on and so forth. And which is why in the Vietnam War, we found a lot of soldiers becoming dependent on morphine and then on heroin and other substances, addictive substances, which is from the same classification. Okay, so let's go back to the brain opioids. Now, the brain opioids is therefore found in great amounts in the brain. These brain opioids are found in the highest concentration. Now, you can, since you know the brain by now, highest concentration in substantia nigra, in the periaqueductal gray, in the lateral hypothalamus, in the corpus callosum and cingulate gyrus. Now, these are, if you remember, most of these areas, the substantia nigra, involved in motor behaviors, of course, involved in schizophrenia, in Parkinson's-like disorders. So, it's a wide range of behaviors. In the same manner, hypothalamus, the passages through hypothalamus are many, and one of the passages is of the brain opioid projections. Periaqueductal gray, PAG, is the pain center in the brain. Now, hint, hint, of course, I told you, Second World War, First World War, Vietnam War, and other wars, the patients in the hospital, the cancer patients, they respond to morphine. So, the pain pathways of the body and the brain are modulated again by the brain opioid projections. If you remember, we talked about the push-pull cannula technique, and you remember where certain area of the brain is stimulated and chemical extracted from them through the cannula, and then the cannula material in the cannula is used for further research. Same technique was used, and when animals, the brain of the animals extracted opioids, and this extracted molecule of brain opioids were then injected into other animals. What do you see? Interestingly, you see similar kind of behaviors that you would see in injection of morphine or heroin or related narcotic substance. For example, there is analgesia. Analgesia is defined as the reduced responsivity to pain. So, analgesia जो है, जब एनाल्जेसिक दिया जाता है तो दर्द खत्म हो जाती है. दर्द खत्म नहीं होती, दर्द का एहसास खत्म हो जाता है. ओके, सो एनाल्जेसिक कंपाउंड जब भी आप लेंगे ना, आप दवाई जब बाजार से लेते हैं डॉक्टर से, तो देखें उसके नीचे लिखी होती है एनाल्जेसिक कंपाउंड. तो एनाल्जेसिक इफेक्ट ये है, पेन की रिस्पॉन्स खत्म हो जाती है. So this chemical extract, the brain opioid, when injected in animals, led to analgesic response. Analgesic response के experiments क्या हैं? वो हम जो आम तौर पे rats के साथ करते हैं. Tail pinch response है, foot shock response है. ये सारे करने के बाद पता चला कि अब जो animal पहले tail pinch पे squeak करके छलांगे मारता था, अब चूंकि ये extract inject किया है, does not respond. उसको pain महसूस नहीं हो रही. Then after that, उसको pain महसूस नहीं हो रही. This is one syndrome or one symptom that we see happening after the brain opioid injection. What is the second one? The second one is very interesting. This is called the wet dog shakes. Now, wet dog shakes मैंने पिछली दफा भी आपसे कहा था कि आपने इनको और से देखा होगा. कभी बारिश में देखें, पानी डाल के देखें जानवरों पे, अपने डॉग्स पे, या चलते फिरते कुत्ते नजर आते हैं तो वो पता क्या, जब वो झाड़ते हैं ना अपने आप को, तो सर से कानों से शुरू करते हैं और फिर दुम तक उनकी झाड़ी हो जाती है, सर एक एक बाल वो फिर हिलाते हैं. दैट इज नोन एज वेट डॉग शेक्स. नाउ दैट इज अ रिस्पॉन्स ऑफ, दिस इज द क्लासिकल रिस्पॉन्स ऑफ द इंजेक्शन ऑफ whether it is morphine, whether it is heroin or related compound. But again, you see the brain extract, the opioid, the animal responding in exactly the same manner. So, shows similarity not just of chemical but also of the behavioral response. Then there is akinesia. Akinesia is where the muscular movements are either slowed down or become absolutely limited. So akinesic, kinesthetic से निकला ये word, kinesthetic से akinesic, यानी muscular response reduced या slow हो जाती. Then there is another response which is hypothermia. Hypothermia. Hypothermia का मतलब thermic, thermometer, thermoregulation, thermal wear, तो warmth से या body temperature से related है. Hypothermia का मतलब reduce हो जाना. So body temperature का fall करना. Hypothermia, बुखार किसी कैफियत. You feel that you have, your body temperature has fallen. कई दफ़ा आपको लगता है ना, वो मुझे लगता है मुझे बुखार है, मुझे लगता है मुझे बड़ी सर्दी लग रही. That is hypothermic reaction. And that again as a response to the injection of the extracted brain opioid. Rigidity, muscular rigidity, cataplexy, again lack of flexibility in the muscles. ये symptoms हैं, फिर note कर लें. Analgesia, which is lack of feeling pain, reduction of the pain response, wet dog shakes, akinesia, hypothermia, rigidity and cataplexy. ये सारी symptoms हैं जो कि हेरोइन एडिक्शन में और मॉर्फिन के इंजेक्शन से भी ये सब कुछ नजर आती. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. अब सवाल ये पैदा होता है कि इसके बहुत सारे, हम आगे जाके भी बात करेंगे कि कहाँ कहाँ इन्वॉल्व है. इट इज इन्वॉल्व इन देयरफॉर इमोशंस. सर्टेनली इमोशन में आपने सवाल ये पूछा है और आपके जहन में भी आया, इमोशन में मॉर्फिन की क्या जरूरत कहाँ पड़ जाती है या हेरोइन की कहाँ पड़े. आपने कभी एडिक्ट से पूछा कि वो हेरोइन क्यों लेता है? वो दुखी है, वो कहता है मैं दुनिया से दुखी हूँ, ये मेरा दोस्त है ना. कभी कहा सुना किसी से बात करके देखे. एंड दिस इज देयर वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग अटैचमेंट एंड दिस इज देयरफॉर hypothesized that morphine and heroin addiction have very strong links to emotional and especially the affective or the emotional inside component of the feelings of pain, not the physical pain but the emotional pain. Then it is also involved in growth, and I'll go and elaborate how it is involved in growth, but it is certainly involved in pleasure, the euphoria, the satisfaction, the reward. That mechanism is also related to the brain opioid pathways. And therefore, people tried to do research and they found out that especially the pleasure pathways, they are acting, these brain opioids act on the mesolimbic dopaminergic pathway. याद है? मीजो मिडलाइन में था, लिम्बिक इमोशन से रिलेटेड था, है ना. अब याद आया, डोपामिन का वो पाथवे जिसको हम मीजोलिम्बिक पाथवे कहते हैं, उस पे ये 3-4 बिहेवियरल रिएक्शंस मिलती हैं. ना एक और चीज इसमें बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है जिसपे काफी काम हुआ है और देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च स्टिल गोइंग ऑन, दैट शिज़ोफ्रेनिक्स की जो ड्रग्स हैं जो विच आर गिवन टू शिज़ोफ्रेनिक्स टू एलिविएट द शिज़ोफ्रेनिक symptoms or pathology, they are known as neuroleptics. Neuroleptics are drugs which are given as a classification, they are known, which are given to alleviate the schizophrenic symptoms. It is very well documented, very well known that when patients of schizophrenia do not respond to any other substance, any other neuroleptic, any other drug, they will respond. These patients of schizophrenia who do not respond to any other treatment will respond to brain opioids, injections of brain opioids. And this research was done long time ago by McGreer and McGreer in 1980. And they were the first ones to show that endorphin, injections of endorphin short-term treatment of endorphin alleviated the schizophrenic symptoms. So schizophrenics did respond to the brain opioid injections and treatments. Now this is also very interesting, and people are doing a lot of research, and this is ongoing, and still we are waiting for conclusive findings on this. Then there is stress-induced analgesia. This is affected by brain endorphins and brain enkephalins. This finding is by Akhil, Huda Akhil et al. Now this, let me just stop here and give you a very interesting story about Huda Akhil. One of the very eminent names in brain endorphin research. And I remember when I was at this neurosciences conference, and there was this woman who was carrying a small baby in her pouch, and I said, my God, this is a conference of neuroscientists, and here is this woman bringing her baby to a conference of scientists. And she was sitting behind me, and there was this announcement. A paper, a very well documented paper, was being presented. Now when this paper was presented, for the comments, there are thousands, maybe 1,500 people sitting in this huge hall. The person at the rostrum addressed the lady sitting behind me and said, Dr. Akhil, Dr. Huda Akhil, would you like to comment on this? She was an authority. Now, my respect for Huda Akhil, I think she was either Arab, Egyptian, but certainly of an Arab descent. She is one of the foremost neuroscientists in this area. She did a lot of work, and her group also did a lot of work in identifying that brain endorphins are involved in stress-induced analgesia. We did a lot of work, my advisor and myself. Of course, his group was doing a lot of research on brain opioids and growth and development. And I, as a part of it, did a lot of work on the rat pups, their growth and development. And we found out that brain opioids are very much involved in stimulating the growth of the normal development and growth, including social development of animals. Very interesting finding. And we'll go into this a little minute later. Why social growth? Of course, physical growth everybody knows, but social growth or social development, what does it involve? My advisor came up with this hypothesis that there are three commonalities and many others, but certainly three very outstanding commonalities between addiction, morphine addiction, and addiction to a friend. First of all, you don't want to part company. Secondly, if you do part company, that leads to agony, whether it is addiction of morphine or it is a friend who's left you, a very, very dear friend. This pain and agony is felt. And it is unless, and the same, not just a friend, but mother and child relationship. And the same can be reversed if the mother comes back to the child, or if the heroin addict takes the drug again and injects himself with this substance. So, after doing that, he then tested this hypothesis. There's another symptom. How do you know that a child is missing his mother or her mother? Or how do you know a friend is missing his beloved or friend? They cry. Agony is expressed through tears. And in the same manner, a person who's going through withdrawal of morphine goes through what we call lacrimation. Lacrimation is tears coming out of the eyes. And there is body aches and pains as well. Grief may be body aches and pains महसूस होती है. Now all this was put together and this hypothesis formulated, and this was a hypothesis that the social attachment and bonding is through the brain opioid pathways. Very interesting. So we went and tested it in a large number of animals, but out of this, ये बहुत लंबी कहानी है, लेकिन out of this emerged another theory, and that theory was the treatment of autism, which is a disorder. You do understand autism is a childhood disorder where children do not respond to the outside world. The children who are suffering from autistic disorder are withdrawn within their own world. So, if they do not get social attachment from outside, they withdraw into their own selves. And my advisor thought that it was a deficit in the brain own mechanism of opioid production. And this has been supported very much so by later researches on animals and their attachments. एक बात और याद रखें कि शुरू में भी मैंने जिक्र किया था कि ये इतनी इंटरेस्टिंग कंपाउंड है, इतना इंटरेस्टिंग केमिकल है. इट इज लॉन्ग अगो दैट द चाइनीज डिस्कवर्ड द एक्यूपंक्चर पाथवेज. अभी जाते हैं ना लोग कि जी दर्द नहीं किसी तरह से ठीक हो रही तो एक्यूपंक्चर कराते हैं. एक्यूपंक्चर पाथवेज are the pathways they go parallel to the brain opioid pathways. So acupuncture points pain, pressure, social bonding, schizophrenia, addiction, reward, emotions, and you name it, brain opioids are involved in that. और इसमें बहुत strong evidence मौजूद है. और सिर्फ एक केस का मैं बताती चलूं कि एक बच्चा था जो कि नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेंटल हेल्थ की रिसर्च है, सिंगल केस स्टडी ऑफ अ चाइल्ड हु वाज एन ऑटिस्टिक चाइल्ड हु वाज नॉट रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू एनी अदर थेरेपी, बट व्हेन ही वाज गिवन ब्रेन ओपियोइड ट्रीटमेंट ही स्टार्टेड रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू हिज मदर एंड द मदर वाज इन टीयर्स कि पहली दफ़ा मेरे बच्चे ने मुझे रिकग्नाइज किया एज अ मदर. So there are a lot of research going on and we do understand that brain opioids are important. एक और चीज़ मैं आपको साथ बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात बताती चलूँ कि ये जो नार्कोटिक एनाल्जेसिक है, मॉर्फिन, हेरोइन बिलोंग टू द नार्कोटिक ग्रुप. तो नार्कोटिक एनाल्जेसिक कंपाउंड पेन किलर के तौर पे जब इस्तेमाल होता है, ये तीनों मॉर्फिन, हेरोइन, कोडीन भी इस्तेमाल होती है, लेकिन ये सारे जो सब्सटेंसेस हैं, they're severely addictive. And they're of course at the same time very potent analgesics, very strong analgesics. They're also potent anti-congestion. पुराने ज़माने में ये कोडीन कंपाउंड मिलती थी जिसके ऊपर बच्चे अडिक्ट हो जाते थे, because कोडीन was a compound derivative of morphine and heroin, उसी क्लासिफिकेशन से. So अब एंटी कंजेशन जो था वो उससे बेहतर आपको नहीं मिलता. इसी तरह से आप हिकमत की ये हमारी जो नेटिव दवाइयाँ हैं उसमें देखें, उसमें जो स्टमक एलिमेंट्स हैं, स्टमक और डाइजेस्टिव डिसऑर्डर्स हैं, उसमें अगेन ओपियोइड्स आर यूज. अफीम यूज करते हैं. व्हाट इज अफीम? अफीम इज ओपियम. एंड व्हाट इज मॉर्फिन एंड व्हाट इज हेरोइन? दे आर ओपियम डेरिवेटिव्स. सो ये सब बहुत बहुत ही अच्छी है फॉर मेडिसिनल पर्पसेस, बट एट द सेम टाइम वेरी वेरी एडिक्टिव एज आई सेड. अब मैंने एक बात जो आपको कही कि ये इट इज ऑल्सो वेरी गुड एनाल्जेसिक. ना एनाल्जेसिक के मतलब ये है कि दर्द महसूस होनी बंद हो जाती है. इसके लिए अगर आपको याद होगा 2 मिनट पहले या 3 मिनट पहले मैंने एक बात की थी कि ये दर्द महसूस. नाउ द वर्ड इज फील द पेन. नाउ देयर आर 2 components, the physical component and the affective component. The physical component is where the pain is actually physically present for whatever your body is telling you that. But then there is an affective component where you respond to the pain and you feel the pain, right? Now, how does morphine affect or heroin affect the pain? Not in the physical sense. No. The physical pain is still there. But interestingly, the affective component, the feeling component is gone. So you don't bother about that pain. तकलीफ है लेकिन महसूस नहीं होती. The feeling part is gone. इसको मैंने जब सुना, the affective component is reduced, मैंने जब सुना तो मैंने सोचा कि ये क्या बात हुई. जैसे आपने भी अभी सोचा ना, ये क्या बात हुई कि फीलिंग है तो फीलिंग नहीं होती है लेकिन पेन वहीं की वहीं है. तो फीलिंग और पेन कैसे सेपरेट कर सकते हैं, फिजिकल कंपोनेंट एंड द इमोशनल कंपोनेंट. Long time ago, I had a surgery, and that surgery was of a kind where naak ki surgery thi, where they had to put in a lot of bandages in my surgery. During the surgery बहुत तकलीफ थी नाक में. नाक तो वैसे ही आपको पता है चोट लगती तकलीफ होती है. So they put in the bandages, but before they put in the bandages, which were miles and miles of bandages which they were stuffing into my nose, they gave me an injection of morphine. Now, as a scientist, I said, I am going to try and identify what happens right now. कि ये जो फिजिकल पेन मुझे महसूस होगी कि नहीं होगी, या इसके अंदर मुझे अफेक्टिव कंपोनेंट मेरा पेन का सेपरेट होता है कि नहीं होता. एंड सरप्राइजिंगली I could feel the scissors going into my nose. I could feel that the stuffing going. But feeling वो physical थी. Emotional, I just wasn't there. Which means I was not responding to the pain. That closet, the door was closed. So very interesting. And you will see that all literature will tell you that morphine and heroin, and they are potent, though they are potent analgesics, they do not reduce the physical component, but they reduce the affective component of pain. So reaction to pain is diminished. The pain itself physically is still there. So we have talked about my most favorite among dopamine एक था और एक brain opioids दूसरे थे जिनके बारे में मैंने I thought I must elaborate to you, and do read about it. This is a very interesting investigation which is still ongoing. So we have covered all the major neurotransmitters and all the putative neurotransmitters which are the candidates, and among them the ones that are going to be important in the next few years. When you read about this research, you will understand why it is so important for human being, because there are a lot of people around you who are addicted to these substances. One of the most difficult substances to treat. But of course, the brain is independent. It creates its own opioids, alkaloids, cannabinoids, and alcohol compounds, and so on and so forth. So we need not worry. We can always depend on our own resources. Now let me move on to another part of this topic, which is we're going to talk about the psychotogenic compounds. This is also related. These are drugs, and these are drugs which act upon the brain to bring about a psychological change. So psychotogenic compounds are those drugs which bring about a different psychological experience. And some of them we have been talking about, but let me just elaborate and summarize them under the psychotogenic compounds. First of all, I'm going to talk about the LSD. And if you remember, during studying serotonin, we talked about lysergic acid diethylamide. It is a potent drug, and it is so potent that 1/10,000 of a gram is enough, is effective to put one person into a full-blown episode of this, what we call a trip. And a trip is that particular episode in which one goes through, ये एक drug induced episode है, और इसको ट्रिप इसलिए कहते हैं कि ये जितनी देर ड्रग सिस्टम में है उतनी देर लास्ट करता है. जिस तरह आप बस पे चढ़ते हो, कहते हो ट्रिप पे जा रहा हूँ, इसी तरह से ये ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम है which transports you into a different time, different place altogether. इसकी तो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात याद रखने की है. पहली बात तो ये कि स्मॉल डोज इज नीडेड. दूसरी बात ये है इसकी टॉलरेंस बहुत ज़्यादा है. इससे बढ़कर टॉलरेंस किसी सब्सटेंस की नहीं है. क्यों? हाउ डू वी नो? एक दफ़ा का लिया हुआ डोज दूसरी दफ़ा में will not have that same effect. So every time the dose has to be increased. So there is great tolerance for LSD. One dose is not effective if it is taken the second time. So increased dosage is needed every time somebody takes LSD. Now, I talked about the trip of LSD. The trip of LSD 80s, 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s में इसका ट्रिप का बड़ा जिक्र सुनते थे. Now what is a trip of LSD? ट्रिप ये कि जब hallucinations, it's a whole experience, and this hallucination that the person who's taken LSD goes through, this trip can be horrifying, harrowing, and extremely painful, or this could be a very ecstatic experience. It depends, the trip depends on several things, but mainly two. One, the mood during which the drug was taken or ingested. अगर आप unhappy हैं, so you are liable to go into a very bad trip, or you've had a very bad experience, you are going to have an even worse experience during the trip. So the mood of the taker, if it is negative, the trip is going to be bad. If it is positive, the trip is going to be very different. And the personality. So different personalities will react with the same dosage, will react differently, will have a different trip taken at the same time. This trip cannot be controlled. This trip, once you are in there, it is beyond the control of the patient. But you can try and suggest to yourself the kind of trip that, but this is a very dangerous drug. It is so dangerous. Maybe I did not tell you that this was the drug that was used for prisoners of war in the 1940s. And they went into these bad trips, and some of them killed themselves. It is very well documented that some of these experiments were carried out in high-rise buildings, and the persons who went through the bad trips threw themselves out of the windows, killed themselves. So bad trips are real for the person who is going through that, and it can result in very serious consequences. Then there is another substance which is psychotogenic compound, which is known as mescaline. Mescaline, if you look at it on the net and in your notes, you will see it is a hallucinogenic compound like the LSD. Hallucinogenic compound is that compound which, once ingested, will lead to different kinds of hallucinations. Now, with the LSD, I remember I talked to you about it, that LSD leads to sensory hallucinations, visual hallucinations. So images will blur and colors will come in, और इसीलिए इसके ज़माने में 60s के ज़माने में LSD की वजह से it was known as the psychedelic experience, because the colors, the shapes, the forms and sensitivity, the sensory sensitivity was heightened. इसी तरह से mescaline is also an hallucinogenic compound. However, it is made from plants which were extracted from the cacti in Mexico, and it is used primarily in that region. So among other compounds, peyote भी एक substance है जो कि again from cacti and other substances, they are also hallucinogenic. ये वो होते हैं जो primitive tribes use करते हैं in the South American region to create this religious rite experience. Rite means R-I-T-E, religious rites के लिए इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. और आपने marijuana का सुना है, hashish का सुना है. That is also the cannabinoid group which creates this hallucinations, and of course though it is not very addictive, tolerance does develop. Now let's go into another area which I'm going to be summarily talking about. It's very important, and that is psychopharmacology. Since we are now progressing from the neurotransmitters, and we have talked about some drugs there as well, neurotransmitters, and then we moved into the psychogenic compounds, and now we're moving into psychopharmacology. Psychopharmacology basically is the study of effects of drugs on the neurotransmitters, and by acting on the neurotransmitters, creating a psychological after effect. So psychopharmacology is the study of exogenously administered substances on the endogenous compounds found in the brain and consequently the effect of these compounds in the behavioral changes. तो आप ये देख लीजिए, समरी ये है कि ये साइकोलॉजिकल प्रोसेसेस को आप मेजर कर रहे हैं, साइकोलॉजिकल चेंजेस को आप मेजर कर रहे हैं, लेकिन वो साइकोलॉजिकल चेंजेस जो कि ड्रग्स की वजह से या सब्सटेंसेस की वजह से पैदा होती हैं. Now this psychopharmacology is both a basic science and an applied science. Basic science तब जबकि ये हम रिसर्च सिर्फ एनिमल्स पे करते हैं और हम आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे होते हैं मॉलिक्यूल्स को और रिलेशनशिप विद न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर्स वगैरह वगैरह. और अप्लाइड साइंस जब होता है, जब हम ये कर रहे होते हैं कि इसमें कैन वी एंड शुड वी यूज दिस इन ह्यूमंस, इज इट एप्लीकेबल इन ह्यूमन ट्रीटमेंट एज वेल, तो उसको फिर हम अप्लाइड साइंस के तौर पे इस्तेमाल करते हैं. इसमें स्टेटमेंट एक है, psychopharmacology works on a recognition of the interrelationships between pharmacological agents, neuroregulators, and behaviors. It has become essential for those who are involved in helping individuals who have psychiatric disorders. So, basically, बहुत targeted है towards psychiatric disorders and treatment of psychiatric disorders and you developing drugs to do so. अब 3-4 बातें इसमें याद रखने की हैं. कैसे हम करेंगे? इसी स्टेटमेंट से आपको बातें जो एक्चुअल पॉइंट्स हैं वो मिल जाते हैं. पहला कि साइकियाट्रिक डिसऑर्डर, दूसरा न्यूरो रेगुलेटर या न्यूरो ट्रांसमीटर, तीसरा एक्सोजेनस कंपाउंड. तो ड्रग, न्यूरो ट्रांसमीटर और साइकियाट्रिक डिसऑर्डर या साइकोपैथोलॉजी. पहली बात, the symptom of the psychopathology should be alleviated by the neurotransmitter or the change in the neurotransmitter, and that should be related to the drug which is administered. So, normalization of the psychopathology should occur if neurotransmitter levels are normalized and this is related to the drug that is injected. Drug क्या करेगी? नॉर्मलाइज करेगी न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर की लेवल, अगर कम है या ज्यादा है उनको नॉर्मल लेवल पे लाएगी. अगर नॉर्मल लेवल पे लाती है तो बिहेवियर भी नॉर्मल होना चाहिए. लॉजिकल है ना कॉन्सिक्वेंस. तो यही एग्जैक्टली पहला पॉइंट है, दैट सिम्टम ऑफ द साइकियाट्रिक एंड साइकोपैथोलॉजिकल डिसऑर्डर, इफ इट इज लिंक्ड टू न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर, then normalization of behavior should occur if the normalization of the level of neurotransmitter occurs. And how does the normalization of the neurotransmitter level occurs? Through non-effective substances such as drugs which have a similar chemical mechanism and a chemical compound and a chemical molecular shape and form. Simple बात है ना, उसकी शेप, उसकी फॉर्म, उसकी एक्शन मिलती है न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर से, तो वो ड्रग इफेक्टिव होगी. और वो ड्रग किस लिए इफेक्टिव होगी कि वो साइकोपैथोलॉजी सच एज शिज़ोफ्रेनिया, सच एज डिप्रेशन, उसको वो रिड्यूस करती है. वो रिड्यूस कैसे करेगी? नॉर्मलाइज करेगी न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर के लेवल्स को, जो कि उस बिहेवियर के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल है. देन सेकेंडली, that these pharmacological substances interact with neurotransmitters at given sites. और वो sites क्या हैं? वो synapses हैं. वो sites क्या हैं? वो उसकी pathways हैं उस neurotransmitter की, और वहाँ पे ये projections के साथ interact करते हैं ये compounds. तो फिर हम कह सकते हैं हाँ ये psychopharmacological action है. अब इन ड्रग्स की, जिनको हम साइकोफार्माकोलॉजिकल ड्रग्स कहते हैं, इनकी क्लासिफिकेशन है. ये आप हैंडआउट में भी देखिएगा, ये आपको लिस्ट मिलेगी और इसको अभी ज़रा सामने रखिएगा, साथ देखिएगा और पढ़ें साथ साथ. इसमें 3-4 चीज़ें आती हैं. पहले लेट मी जस्ट ब्रीफ यू ऑन दिस. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, एक क्लासिफिकेशन है जिसको हम कहते हैं सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम डिप्रेसेंट, CNS डिप्रेसेंट्स. सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम की एक्टिविटी को रिड्यूस करना, स्लो डाउन करना, रिलैक्स करना वगैरह. Now these are substances which are barbiturates, neuroleptics, anxiolytics and alcohol. Alcohol के बारे में लोग कहते हैं कि नहीं जी हम तो बहुत एक्टिवेट हो जाते हैं और जी जो एडिक्टेड है इस सब्सटेंस से, लेकिन लेट मी टेल यू अल्कोहल इज सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम डिप्रेसेंट. सो बार्बिचुरेट्स, एंजियोलिटिक्स, न्यूरोलेप्टिक्स एंड अल्कोहल. इसके बाद stimulants. Don't worry, I'm going to go into the details of these a little later. Stimulants की जो कैटेगरी है उसमें कोकेन, एम्फेटामिन, कैफीन एंड निकोटीन. मैंने खास तौर पे ये चुने हैं because they relate to your everyday experience. You hear about cocaine, you hear about amphetamine, you hear about caffeine and you hear about nicotine. तो इसलिए ये ताकि आप इसको relate कर सकें. Of course, important for you to understand as students of psychology that there are of course major drugs such as antidepressants जो कि central nervous system पे act करते हैं. They are stimulating the activity of the central nervous system in a way. And there is certainly a drug by itself which is known as lithium carbonate, which is used for the bipolar disorder. Bipolar depression manic depressive disorder है कि कभी आप डिप्रेशन में होते हैं, कभी आप निकल के मेनिक फेज में चले जाते हैं, तो उसके लिए एंटी डिप्रेसेंट्स आर नॉट गुड. तो खास तौर पे लिथियम कार्बोनेट यूज होती है. एंड ऑफ कोर्स देन देयर इज द एनाल्जेसिक कंपाउंड्स इन विच वी हैव नार्कोटिक्स एंड नॉन नार्कोटिक एनाल्जेसिक कंपाउंड्स. लेट्स गो टू द साइकोएक्टिव ड्रग्स दैट वी नो. सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम डिप्रेसेंट्स. सेंट्रल नर्वस सिस्टम डिप्रेसेंट्स एक्चुअली ये क्लासिफाई क्यों इनको एक ग्रुप में किया हुआ है, क्यों इनकी 4-5 कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं जो मिलती जुलती हैं, जो ये एज अ होल करती हैं. डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स ऑफ ड्रग्स हैं वो हम बताएंगे, जैसे बार्बिचुरेट्स आर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम एंजियोलिटिक्स एंड सो ऑन सो फोर्थ, बट दे डू somewhat similar things. They are different groups of drugs, but they induce behavioral and central nervous system depression. They reduce anxiety, they reduce inhibitions, and they cause sedation. Among the major things that they do, you should remember reducing anxiety, reducing inhibitions, and causing sedation. So it make you very comfortable. Therefore, people who are anxiety ridden और बहुत परेशान होते हैं वो कहते हैं अच्छा वो गोली ले लो उससे तुम तसल्ली हो जाएगी, और लोग ले भी लेते हैं बाद में फिर they become addicted. Actually, this group is then divided into 5 major groups, and each group then has several drugs under each one of them. Barbiturates, non-barbiturates, hypnotics, general anesthetics, ethyl alcohol, and benzodiazepines. ये तो 6 हो गए. ओके, बार्बिचुरेट्स नॉन बार्बिचुरेट्स को एक कैटेगरी में डाल देते हैं. हिप्नोटिक्स, जनरल एनेस्थेटिक्स, इथाइल अल्कोहल and benzodiazepines. I want to talk about each one of them separately. Barbiturates. Barbiturates जो ना आजकल आप नहीं सुनते इतना. Barbiturates का क्या नाम सुनते हैं? कोई सुना है कभी? नहीं सुना ना. ये मगर this was the drug of choice in the 50s and the 60s. जो पुरानी कहानियां आप सुनते हैं ना, मसलन पुराने हॉलीवुड के एक्टर्स और एक्ट्रेसेस जो ओवरडोज से मर जाते थे, वो लीजिए स्लीपिंग पिल्स ले ली, या ओवरडोज हो गया, या अल्कोहल के साथ ओवरडोज हो गया ड्रग्स का. वो क्या थी? ये दिस वाज द बार्बिचुरेट्स वर दैट दोज ड्रग्स दैट एवरीबडी, इट वाज द वोग, इट वाज द फैशन टू टेक. इससे डिपेंडेंसी बहुत ज़्यादा होती थी बार्बिचुरेट से. लेकिन इससे जो सबसे ज़्यादा सीरियस बात थी, सीरियस डिपेंडेंसी तो है, लेकिन एक्सीडेंटल ओवरडोज का इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा खतरा था, और जो कि हुआ, और जो कि रिप्लीट है हिस्ट्री ऑफ हॉलीवुड स्टार्स एंड फेमस पीपल हु टुक एन ओवरडोज विदाउट रियली मीनिंग टू, और एक्सीडेंटली टुक एन ओवरडोज. सो इसकी दूसरी जो चीज़, पहली तो ओवरडोज, दूसरी जो चीज़ इंपॉर्टेंट थी वो याद रखने की, वो ये कि इसमें इंटरेक्शन विद अदर ड्रग्स ऑफ अब्यूज सच एज अल्कोहल. अल्कोहल वाज एंड इज स्टिल वन ऑफ द मेजर ड्रग्स ऑफ अब्यूज. तो इसकी इंटरेक्शन लीथल. सो द बार्बिचुरेट्स हैड अ लीथल इंटरेक्शन विद drugs of abuse, which are alcohol, and most frequently the overdose or those people who died of overdose was because they were using 2 or 3 drugs at the same time, and barbiturates की इंट्रैक्शन की वजह से ये लीथल हो गया. लोग लेते क्यों थे? इसका पहले था कि स्लीप के लिए लेते थे, लेकिन इंटरेस्टिंग बात यह कि इवन स्लीप इज अफेक्टेड. इसमें स्लो वेव स्लीप जो है वो अफेक्ट हो जाती है, और ठीक तरह से जिसको कहते हैं ना नींद ठीक तरह से फिर भी नहीं पूरी होती. तो इवन दो पीपल यूज्ड इट फॉर स्लीप, इट वाज अफेक्टिंग द स्लीप पैटर्न्स. इसमें 2-3 ड्रग्स अभी भी कहीं इसका नाम आप सुने तो आपको नजर आएगा. एमिटॉल एक ड्रग है इसी ग्रुप की, और दूसरी है पेंटोबार्बिटॉल, सोडियम पेंटोबार्बिटॉल. ये आमतौर पे जेनरिक नाम है इसका ये. और तीसरी इसकी जो बहुत ही खौफनाक बात है कि द मदर हु इज टेकिंग इट, इसका द इफेक्ट ऑन द फीटस वाज टेरोटोजेनिक. बहुत खौफनाक इफेक्ट था, और ये इसकी जो स्टडीज हैं उसने फिर दिखाया, एंड देन मदर्स वर वार्न नॉट टू टेक इफ दे वर एक्सपेक्टिंग. लॉन्ग लास्टिंग इसका हैंगओवर, द हैंगओवर लॉन्ग लास्टिंग led to a very unpleasant, heavy-headed feeling, and the slowness of functions and slowness of working and the slowness of reflexes. So it was not a very pleasant thing to wake out of the barbiturates, which is why barbiturates then became out of fashion, and people started looking for, and pharmaceutical companies started looking for other substances, and non-barbiturates came up onto the scene, the non-barbiturate sedatives. Meprobamate was a tranquilizer used during daytime, which is non-barbiturate, gave mild relief from anxiety, but created a very serious dependency. And this was, इसमें एक ड्रग थी क्वाल्यूड, 70s और 80s की, that was the drug of abuse. और इसमें एक केस मुझे अच्छी तरह याद है, अगेन इंटरेक्शन बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट थी. एक बच्ची थी कैथरीन क्विनलन, या क्या नाम था उसका. शी टुक दिस ड्रग विच वाज रिक्रिएशनल ड्रग के तौर पे ये इस्तेमाल करते थे टीनेजर्स, एंड शी यूज दिस ड्रग एट अ पार्टी along with alcohol, and she went into a coma and she never woke up. Actually वो केस इसलिए बना क्योंकि पेरेंट्स कहते थे कि इसकी अब लाइफ सेविंग मशीनें उतार दो, इसको मरने दो, क्योंकि अब वी नो आवर डॉटर विल नॉट कम आउट ऑफ अ कोमा, क्योंकि वो 5-6 साल कोमा में रही. सो व्हाट वी सी हियर इज एंड अगेन अ वेरी लीथल सब्सटेंस, जिसके साथ लेना जिसको और इंटरेक्शन विद अदर सब्सटेंसेस कुड बी डेंजरस. देन देयर इज अनदर सब्सटेंस विच इज नॉन बार्बिचुरेट, कोरल हाइड्रेट, और उसको मैंने भी यूज़ किया हुआ, अपने लिए नहीं, चूहों को इंजेक्ट करते हुए. जब उनको एनेस्थीसिया से वो निकलने लगते थे तो आई वुड गिव देम कोरल हाइड्रेट सो दैट दे वुड कंटिन्यू in the anesthesia status which they were. अब इसके अलावा हमारे पास anesthetic compounds भी हैं. वो रिवर्सिबल एनेस्थीसिया काउंट करते हैं, और क्या करते हैं वो जो डॉक्टर सर्जरी में इस्तेमाल करते हैं. और इसमें नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड है, इसमें और भी सब्सटेंसेज हैं, और डिपेंड करता है कि आप शॉर्ट एक्टिंग चाहते हो एनेस्थीसिया या लॉन्ग एक्टिंग एनेस्थीसिया चाहते हो. लेकिन अगेन इसमें थोड़ा सा खतरा होता है कि आप अगर लॉन्ग एक्टिंग लेते हो तो यू हैव टू मॉनिटर द पेशेंट. कई दफ़ा आपने सुना होगा कि द पेशेंट डाइड ऑन द ऑपरेटिंग टेबल बिकॉज ऑफ द इफेक्ट्स ऑफ एनेस्थीसिया. इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा मॉनिटर करना पड़ता है हार्ट बीट, क्योंकि सब चीज़ें सिस्टम स्लो डाउन, यू आर अनकॉन्शियस, एंड द रिफ्लेक्टिव सिस्टम्स आर ऑफ कोर्स नॉट ऑपरेटिव. तो आपकी हार्ट बीट, ब्रीदिंग, सब चीज़ें मॉनिटर, बीपी मॉनिटर करने की ज़रूरत होती है ताकि एक्शन शुड बी टेकन एज सुन एज पॉसिबल, बिकॉज देन अगेन देयर इज अ लाइन विच वी कैन क्रॉस बाय क्रिएटिंग ओवरडोज. ये सारे सब्सटेंसेस इस्तेमाल होते भी हैं, बेनिफिट्स भी हैं, लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स इसको इस्तेमाल करने के साथ साथ देयर आर कॉशंस इन दीज फार्माकोलॉजिकल कंपाउंड्स. वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट क्विकली इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास ऑन antidepressants, neuroleptics, and other compounds which are used for treatment of schizophrenic and other disorders. So do your reading and do look at this handout which is with you, जिसमें हमने टेबल दिया हुआ है of all the substances which are psychotropic and substances which are used for treatment of psychopathological disorders. Research is ongoing. Every day new substances are coming in, and every day we found out that the older substances that we had been using do have some toxicity, and we need to better them or remove those toxic effects. लेकिन ये याद रखिए कि drugs are magic when nothing else works. You need to work within the molecules of the mind and the molecules of the brain to alter the status in which a person who's going through a schizophrenic episode has found himself. The help is there, but it is the drugs that we can use under supervision of the psychiatrist and under very careful administration. So this is an area which we will be talking about later as well, and we will then move on into understanding of the molecules of the other behaviors. Do study it. मुश्किल है, लेकिन अब तक आप इसको काफ़ी कवर कर चुके हैं, और अगर आप देखेंगे तो क्लासिफिकेशन में कई ऐसी ड्रग्स होंगी जो आपको आम तौर पे दोस्त कहते हैं, जैसे बेंजोडाइजेपीन्स हैं, वेलियम, और ये के जी ले लो क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, या जेनेक्स ले लो क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है, या रात को जागना है तो दवाई ले लो, मैंने भी रात को जागी हूँ इम्तिहान के लिए. वो doing this is, once you get into that trap, that is dangerous. So we're going to talk a little about this before in the next class, and then we move on into more meatier substances. Read, understand, and know that it is for your own good, whatever you use. And watch out for addictive substances. Everything is addictive, even water. So tea, coffee, cola, cigarettes, anything and everything that you use is addictive. Be moderate and use in moderation. So we'll meet you in the next class. अपने आप को, अब मैं आपको असाइनमेंट इसके बारे में दूंगी, तो आप खुद अपना एनालाइज करना कि आप क्या क्या इस्तेमाल करते हो, कितनी फ्रीक्वेंटली इस्तेमाल करते हो, और उससे आपको अंदाज़ा होगा what you need to do and what you need not to do. Do your readings. See you next time.